Okay, thank you, everybody. And some others are joining, I guess. Okay. Okay. So I can be in the screen here, so they can see me, but I don't want to show my back to them, so I don't know what to do. Okay, 360 degrees. Now, hi, Matti and Ella. My name is Yutaka, and I'm a professor teaching one of classes. And as you can see, this is a class of what are you? Who are you? ACM and arts and culture management, as well as design management students from creative enterprise leadership department, right? Getting longer and longer. So, okay. So, and here with students and some instructors back there. Over there.
They can't see you.
I want to show.
Okay.
No. So wave hands. Those are professors and students. So anyway, what I'm doing. Okay, not the entertainment show. So now it is an entertainment show. I don't know. Today we have a pleasure to have those amazing two architects from Finland attending our class, and some other visitors from outside too on Zoom. And they will talk to us about their work and some research results. So let me read it quickly. So Vokal is an architecture practice founded by Kaira probably, and Matti Jänkälä, correct? Jänkälä, okay. All right. Good. Founded in Helsinki, Finland. Yay. That explores the power dynamics between. See, I feel aged. Okay, I'm sorry. Finland, a dynamics between architecture, grassroots movement. Pay attention, everybody. Movement and the real estate markets. So some of you guys may be interested in the same area. The practices approach is community-based and research-oriented. And November 2023, last year, November, Kaira and Jänkälä participated in the residency in Finnish Cultural New York. So they were here last fall. And they will share their research and experience with this community. And so anything else to add? So, guys, take away.
Okay, thank you. So let me share my screen. And can you see it in full screen now?
Yes. Yes.
Okay. Perfect. So thank you for having us. Thank you for the introduction. So we're Matti and Ella, and we're here to present to you our work.
And hello from my behalf as well. So as the introduction also mentioned, so we are an architectural practice based in Helsinki in Finland, and we are a community-based and research-driven practice, and we utilize a mix of architectural design methods and research in our work. And central to our work is, as mentioned, is to explore the dynamics between architecture and social movements and property markets. And my name is Kaira, and I have graduated from Aalto University in Finland, and I've also studied in Paris. And I'm especially interested in the processes shaping our cities, and I am interested in storytelling methods to talk about these processes.
And my name is Matti Jänkälä. I'm an architect. I've also graduated from Aalto University and also studied in ETH Zurich. And I'm especially interested in social movements, care of the built environment, and studying the role of architects in the era of environmental crises. And I have experience from working with building design, urban design, education, and art. And we'll briefly talk about our previous projects. How we got started was this art exhibition that we did in East Helsinki in this suburb called Merirastila. Our work was called It's Time to Talk About Monstrosities. It was commissioned by Porin Kulttuurisäätiö, an artist collective, and done in collaboration with You Tell Me Collective that we with Ella are part of, and also funded by City of Helsinki. And this work we discussed the value of buildings, construction materials through a local landmark in this suburb. And we organized an exhibition and also a discussive tour around this landmark site in this suburb. And that's kind of what led us to get to know this community, this local community, and got us excited about the community-based practices in architecture.
And our current project is ongoing project in Finland is called The Geography of Memories, and it's a research and artistic project where our intention is to map the immaterial values embedded in the built environment. And we interview a local community in a neighborhood in Helsinki, and this neighborhood is the city has planned it to be partially demolished, and one of the central our central attempt is to raise awareness in the city to this phenomenon of building demolition and large-scale demolition through the stories of the local people. So the following slides we will talk about our artist residency work in New York, and our project in New York was called From the Ground Up. And we participated in November 2023 in the artist residency of the Finnish Cultural Institute in New York. And our goal was to study the role of community-based organizations in the context of climate adaptation. And some central research questions in our project was, how can participatory processes help create more sustainable and equitable societies? And what is the role of community-based organizations in climate resilient urban planning in New York City? And what are the dynamics between the different actors in participatory urban planning processes in New York City?
And New York is an interesting case study site because there's this kind of dynamic between the real estate market, this hyper-gentrification, market-less construction that is taking place in coastal areas. But at the same time, the sea levels in New York City are expected to rise between 8 to 30 inches by 2050 and 15 to 75 inches by 2100. And this from the New York City Panel of Climate Change. And these real estate prices or values on the coastal sites they fail to account for the damage caused by the rising sea levels. So it's not really this push to construct on coastal sites is not reflected in the prices. And we were interested in studying both the real estate and business angle, but also what could we learn from the community-driven initiatives in New York, such as we studied this urban homesteading movement that grew in New York City during the 1970s, and how the locals have been in the city empowered to become stewards of the built environment and kind of taking care of the land, taking care of their buildings. But nowadays, how can they take care of the environment in the face of climate change? And during the residency, we interviewed both experts and different organizations. We interviewed design professionals, academics, and community-based organizations. But we also, just by living in New York, got to know a lot of people, and we engaged with the local organizations by volunteering. Here we are in Harlem Grown and Westside Community Gardens, volunteering in their activities in harvesting and some tulip planting. And that way we felt that it kind of justifies us being there when we actually contribute something back to the communities that we engage.
And the different findings that we gained from the many interviews that we conducted during our stay, and also the research that we delved into, we divided the findings into these 5 categories that we are going to present to you in the following slides. So community gardens, human-centered design, coastal resilience, community land trusts, and community action.
Yes, and then as Ella said, here we'll show you some of the people we counted and some of the kind of organizations that we engaged with. And one of the major ways locals have taken charge of their own environment are these community gardens. And Westside Community Garden is a good example of or reflective of many of them. It was born in the 1970s when the New York City was undergoing this heavy financial turmoil. The city almost went bankrupt, and during that time many buildings were abandoned. Some landlords actually lit their buildings on fire because they wanted the insurance money, and this kind of turned the urban environment into this really kind of derelict state where you had empty lots, abandoned buildings, and in Westside Community Gardens case, the local community they kind of were fed up with the empty lots around them, and they wanted to take charge of the underfunded public space in their environment and turn these empty lots into gardens. And today, Westside Community Garden provides this public space in the middle of the city, this green area that's accessible without cost and every day of the week. And it's totally run by the local residents who have their kind of garden patches there, and they grow vegetables and organize events and communal activities there. Another one we engaged with was Harlem Grown. It's a community garden or organization that has many community gardens around Harlem, where we actually were situated during our residency. And Harlem Grown was born out of the need to educate the local youth on the food production. Kind of the founder tells this story where he met a local girl from Harlem who thought that the food kind of came from the supermarket, or it's somehow grown in the supermarket, and this led him to realize that the local youth is not educated into where food comes from. And now it has grown into this operation where they offer composting services, grow vegetables, and they actually host weekly farmers markets where the locals can pick up vegetables for free, so people can kind of get locally produced and from producers outside the city as well. Then from the kind of community angle, we found that it's important that from the many interviews that it's important that the locals get to impact the urban design of their neighborhoods. And we actually interviewed from Pratt Institute, David Burney and Beth Bingham, and they have run many courses with the architecture students where they actually engage the local communities in their projects, and they try to work for the local communities. And in these discussions, both David and Beth highlighted the importance of engaging and giving this participatory opportunities and people opportunity to impact all aspects of planning in their own neighborhoods. And this they highlighted the importance of giving back to the communities. And actually in these courses, the students have produced proposals, white papers, documents that the local communities and organizations have used in their own grant applications, and they have later on turned into kind of actual projects. We also interviewed Alison Whiteman, also a PhD candidate in the Pratt Institute. And Alison is studying in her PhD this local community intervention in a neighborhood in Brooklyn. And in this case, it's this kind of greater neighborhood spanning several blocks where part of the street and parking lot was turned into a playground, and kind of the local street vegetation was increased to create a more pleasant environment. And there's this kind of interesting dynamic where initially when this was designed, it was really successful intervention, bring maybe more pleasant environment to the neighborhood, but it is also a historically black neighborhood in Brooklyn that is now under threat of gentrification, and these community-driven interventions kind of attract more buyers to the area. And we also talked to Kristen Chin from Hester Street. You might know Hester Street. It's a nonprofit specializing in urban planning, design, and development, and they really work on the participatory, kind of bringing participatory practices into all processes. And they've worked with urban planning and transforming I think it was in Bronx, this old power plant into a green energy hub led by the communities. And Kristen, when we talked to her and about the work of Hester Street, she highlighted the significance of the social infrastructure in the times of crisis. So, for example, in the case of Hurricane Sandy, it was more important the kind of social side where people helped other people than the hard infrastructure of kind of only getting resources here and there or building seawalls, etc. So the social and soft infrastructure is very important. Then we talked to many people about the coastal resiliency, which is really topical in New York. We talked to Paul Galley from Columbia University. He's the head of the Resilient Coastal Communities Project, and he highlighted that the kind of communities, why it's important to engage communities is that they have wisdom that the agencies don't have, and they see things on the ground that kind of agency professionals cannot see. And he highlighted the kind of role and potential of universities bringing into practice the theory and research and findings to cause actually positive change. We also talked to Veronica Olipotto from the New School. She's a PhD candidate there studying the policy of climate adaptation. And in her PhD, she has studied the community engagement projects in Edgemere in the kind of Far Rockaways in Queens. And in this neighborhood, the government is implementing a kind of a buyback program and promoting this managed retreat from the flood-prone coastal sites. But then in the talks with Veronica, we talked a lot about this process of how the managed retreat is done, that when you have this buyback program and people leaving the site, the communities might actually feel kind of left behind if the area is not invested in. And a major actor in New York are these community land trusts. So they're organizations that have been founded to kind of gain community control over land and in that way take direct control over their neighborhoods. We talked to Jenny Dupno from Western Queens Community Land Trust. They advocate the community control over land, especially in the Long Island City area. And as you may know, Long Island City, Jenny tells us it is actually the fastest growing neighborhood in all of the United States. There's quite a lot of new construction happening there, but it's happening on these flood-prone coastal sites in this, and it's causing this rapid gentrification in this historically industrial area, and Jenny highlighted in our discussions this importance of real estate, and it's how it's all about real estate, that the community actors and vital services cannot function if, and this kind of social resilience also cannot function if the rents are on unsustainable limits. And working with Jenny and the Western Cleans Community Land Trust is the Long Island City Coalition. They're this kind of a dual organization, or kind of working in tandem with the Community Land Trust, and they advocate for more just and really resilient land use. And they have been really kind of advocating that that the city should focus more kind of protecting the livable conditions of the existing residents in the area, rather than building new towers and luxury condos on the waterfront that actually cause some increased pressures on the infrastructure, that the sewage system can't handle the water use of all the new residents in the area. And then finally, the community action. This is kind of key to all of the cases we studied, and we talked to several organizations, from kind of individuals to more organized and established organizations. We talked to Annie Carfaro from We Act. We Act is a really well-known and successful environmental organization, and they work especially in the environmental justice in Northern Manhattan area. They have, for example, produced many of these climate resiliency plans for the neighborhood, and anyone interested should definitely check their websites, and they have all the documents and the resiliency plans open access there. And in our discussions, Annie especially highlighted the need and the importance of knowing one's neighbors. For example, if there is a crisis such as a heat wave, it's important to know if there are elderly people in your building that would require assistance, or if you need to evacuate, is there someone you should help escort out? And especially if you yourself are an elderly person, you should kind of know and have contacts in your buildings with your neighbors. And we also talked to Bill de Paula, and he's been involved in Time's Up, this movement that organized in the 2000s these mass bike rides to pressure the city to adopt better bike lanes. And they were actually kind of successful in it, that once the these biking tests became more popular and tourists really supported them, then the city actually adopted the bike lanes and turned them into actual policy. And Bill is also one of the founders of the Museum of Reclaimed Urban Space. It's located in the Lower East Side of Manhattan, and they document this community activism from all sides of New York, especially in Manhattan. And Bill also highlighted the importance of remembering which developments in the city are actually driven by the activist demands and kind of then adopted by the city, and not having this revisionist history that it's the city that itself initiated these changes. And then we also talked to Monxo Lopez. He's really been involved in many things. He's a curator at the City Museum of New York. He's also a board member of the Hooper Square Community Land Trust, but he's one of the founders of the South Bronx Unite, and they advocate for kind of community-driven development in South Bronx, where he's also living at the moment. And Monxo highlighted the need of community stewardship over land, and he kind of talked to us how community gardens, for example, are this one way of practicing this stewardship and doing it with your hands and showing concretely what it means to steward your neighborhood. And he put it really well in this one quote where he said that for politicians and planners, these development projects are just about their career, but for the residents, it's about their lives. And in a way, the politicians and planners come and go, but the residents are the ones who stay. And kind of in that way, they have the edge that they can play the long game. Yeah.
So this Monxo's the final quote of Monxo Lopez is good to continue to a summary of the learnings, as the real estate industry in New York has significant political power, but it doesn't often reflect the needs of the local communities. But in the face of climate change, the participatory processes in urban planning can help bring forth the actual needs of the local communities. And this is increasingly important when responding to emergencies. And many examples of the interviewed persons the persons we interviewed demonstrate how strengthening local communities increases social resilience, and this is crucial in responding to recent events such as Hurricane Sandy or the increasing and more intense heat waves that we have seen in the last years. So thank you very much for listening to our presentation.
Yeah, thank you for inviting us. And about our project, we're kind of now going through our findings and planning to produce a publication later this year. And at that point, we hope to share it maybe with you as well, and kind of will put it into this document form. But yeah, thank you for the invitation, and maybe we have some time for some questions and discussions.
Anyone? Okay, over there. Can you turn the camera? Maybe.
Hello. Hi. Thank you for an amazing talk. And my name is Boyana. I'm from the Arts and Cultural Management program here at Pratt. And it's really amazing, the projects that you have done. And my question is, what are some of the things that you consider when you're going into a community and when you're presenting all your projects and kind of pitching your ideas? Yeah, and how do you present yourself with the community as well?
I think that's a good question. And for example, yeah, working with communities, you have to be really delicate and kind of think about how you approach people, and that you're not coming kind of from top down and saying that you're an academic or a designer and obligating people to work for you in a way. But we kind of try to center that we work with the communities, and that no one is there to, in a way, help us, but we're trying to do something together. And then we have to, in our projects, really well argument that what do we produce to the locals, that we're not just extracting knowledge, but we actually kind of give something back. And for example, in this geography of memories, we're doing with this together with this local resident movement and providing this kind of end material and document that they can use when they lobby to the city that maybe this urban renewal that's happening in their neighborhood needs to be considered.
Exactly, yeah. And I'd like to add to this that it's good to be aware of one's own status as an architect or designer in compared to or in the how it is in how the status your status is seen in the local community, because coming from the outside and coming from anyway outside of the community is a delicate position to be. So that's why we also highlight that working with the community is very important, and also genuine interest in the community and the community's needs. I think this is very crucial part of the work.
Go ahead.
Hello, this is KK from Design Management. I am a landscape architect, and I would like to know that what is the criteria for you to select the locations and for the program that you make in the project?
You mean the New York project or overall in our work?
New York project.
Yeah. Yeah, so in the residency project, in a way, part of it we built beforehand, doing our kind of desk research, hearing from our contacts, who should we talk to, and seeing some famous cases. And some of it was maybe geographical places that were close to us. So we knew that we wanted to work on Harlem since we lived there. And then also there was this kind of snowballing happening when we got to New York, and then we got more and more contacts. And when we interviewed someone, they told us that, hey, you should definitely talk to this person. And then it kind of built on that. And then we tried to build a schedule that was still manageable for us to do in the month.
Yeah.
Okay. And another question is, do you like interview with the local people before you like develop the project? Like, did you talk with the local people? Like, what is their requirement? What do they want?
Yeah, maybe for the New York case, there we kind of knew heading in that it's difficult to do any community-based project in a month. It's kind of virtually impossible, and these really require much heavier and long-term kind of background work and groundwork. So in that way, we knew that the way to, and for example, approach communities is through these kind of chaperone people, that we maybe meet someone from an organization, interview them and talk to them. And then if we want to engage locals, then they can introduce us as kind of their friends or acquaintances and kind of help us get into the community. But we kind of knew that we can't just walk into some, I don't know, event in a neighborhood or something and kind of just or obligate or expect people to talk to us and give us their time if they're just not a part of an organization or something. But then we also met some people just kind of being there, living in Harlem, meeting people. The volunteering was a good way to kind of just that when we approach organizations, we actually donate our labor and we are useful for them. We're not just taking their busy time trying to talk to them, but we actually support them in what they do, and then also participating in some events and just going to a community garden and talking to people there. And those are maybe there we don't go to kind of try to get interviews, but it's just that if someone happens to chat to us about anything about the weather or something, then we can continue that discussion.
Yeah, and also this what we learned from the interviews, for example, is that these processes might take time. That's something that has to be acknowledged all the time, that the process of getting to know people and building trust is somewhat time consuming process, but it can also be very rewarding to really create this kind of trust.
Thank you.
Adios. Okay, hold on.
I really appreciate your presentation, and it strikes me as, and I don't know if you've used kind of micro narratives and distributed ethnography. So I think what I'm hearing as I'm listening to the presentation, and there's an amazing opportunity to incorporate kind of these kind of micro narratives or this kind of micro ethnography into your work. And really, I don't know if you're familiar with that methodology, but it's really community-based, community-centered, and you're using the community as the, you know, they're helping with the analysis and really providing. So it's about as participatory as you can get at doing community-based research. And so I was just curious if, you know, from a methodologic perspective, what are some of the uniqueness, or what are some of the things you're finding that is most effective?
I want to talk about like memories of
Well, one of the things that has been very interesting to lately that we have found out, because in this neighborhood where we are conducting this geography of memories project, the city wants to demolish an old or not an old, it's a 30-year-old school building, and they want to replace it with a new one. but the city is also organizing an architectural competition of the potential reuse of this old building. And we decided that we are going to make a proposal for this competition based on the knowledge that we have gained from speaking with the local people. And a couple of weeks ago, we also organized a workshop with the locals, and our aim of the workshop was to collect their memories and collect the important and meaningful places, but also like things that could be improved in the area that is going to be developed. And this proved very helpful for us, amazingly helpful, because we by using aerial images, prints of the area, we could and also putting post-it notes of people's ideas in this area, we could find information that was not available anywhere else. And one example of this is, for example, a passageway in the area that is not safe, especially for women. And this is something that was brought forth in this workshop. And these kinds of things are not anywhere to be found in the documents provided by the city, for example. But these are extremely important from the user's perspective. So this was quite a specific event that we organized only for this competition. But for example, this geography of memories, the idea is to provide a map of the immaterial values, and even though like an unsafe passageway, we wouldn't call it a value, but it is something that this kind of information, very crucial information on the area, can be discussed and can be brought forth through this kind of methods. And our aim is to provide like a way or like a method for the city to, before making decisions on urban renewal in a specific area, that these kind of mapping tools of the people's needs or the local community's needs and immaterial values could be utilized and taken into account before making any big decisions.
Okay, thank you. Anybody? Okay, go ahead.
Hi, I'm Manning from the ACMT program, and I want to follow up with the workshop that you just talked about. And I guess the main question that I was having was that, how did you get people to come to the workshop? How did you make people care about the project you're working on and be willing to come to the event in person and get them talk about their experiences? And after that event, did you make any advancement, like keeping them engaged in the progress you're making? And sorry, there's another question, is that when you were doing that event, what were the main who were the people that came mostly? What they were like, their ages, and which part of the society they belong. So yeah, these are a couple of questions. Thank you.
Maybe quickly about the context. We have, through our work and project that we've done before, we have kind of personal contacts and connections to the residents and especially to the resident movement. So I think it's in a way helpful that if there's a community-based organization, get to know them, and that's kind of a way of somehow getting into contact with a group that has like some sort of a consensus of a bigger portion of the residents and not just like a mix of individuals. So, and they're really good at kind of their own activities and their own methods of communicating with the locals, and they helped us spread the message. And what helped as well is that we organized it in this kind of a temporary like cultural center, and it's made in this in an old chapel that's now taken as a like the congregation has moved out and it's now a cultural space, and they helped us get the word out. And then kind of through this Geography of Memories project, we have done also these memory walks, so kind of in a way interviews, but just walking in the neighborhood with locals. And kind of those people have also kind of, then they have gotten to know us, they've also contributed to the project, and they've helped us spread the word and invite their friends. And so in that way, we have the contacts and will continue to be in contact. And
Yeah, and just to add to that, it's this is slightly, since we have somewhat established contacts to this neighborhood, it's very helpful for us. But it's also, it's good to if you work in a new neighborhood, or in a neighborhood where there are no contacts established yet, I think it's good to, it's a good way to work first with the community-based organization, the organized movements, because it opens many doors to a wider range of the local residents, since the necessarily the community-based organization doesn't represent like a wide variety of the people of the local neighborhood, but it involves a lot of making contacts with as many people as possible, and with as many different communities as possible. And this workshop, for example, it had a range of people of different ages, and it was for several weeks before it, as Matti explained, we had many ways of enlarging the audience, or the getting more visibility to this event, even through releasing an advertisement in the local like neighborhood newspaper, like a paper publication. So any kind of media medium is good to take into account.
Yeah, like we said, these things kind of snowball. That in the workshop we met actually a teacher from the school, and kind of through those contacts we're now trying to organize another workshop for the staff of the school, and then we're contacting also the youth center to kind of get involved with the youth, so that you can build on the contacts you get along the way.
Yeah. And just one more thing about the workshop, as it was also important to separate the information by age groups, because we have now collected all the findings and the information that the ones who attended the workshop, but it's to keep some kind of keep track of what is needed and by whom. So we had these we had 3 different age groups, and each age group had their own aerial image and their own post-it notes. So that was quite important to keep track of who attended the workshop.
Thank you. That was so helpful.
The last question you have there. Show his camera somehow, but maybe it's
actually, thank you so much for the really inspired presentation. Since our group is firstly, I'm Kaira from DM, and our group is Team North Star. We are actually working on a community-based framework to help some community to be prepared for the flood, and also pass the first impact after the flood, since we saw the delay about the state level and also the federal level helps reach to some communities like the Rockaways in the Queens, New York. So we want to have this kind of the community-driven framework to help the local people be in the fast response and to reorganize their resources to pass this time waiting for the help comes. So that's why I say this presentation is really inspired our thoughts about our programs. So actually, the question I want to ask is like, so the most things you're talking about the community driving programs, but I also see you have a lot of connection with the local institutes and also other helps. I want to know is how you kind of to dig this connection behind and how to manage them together to make this kind of the program get landed to the community. Yes, thank you.
What's that? Sure. So kind of to summarize the question, how to get the you mean like the findings to the community, or how would you frame it?
Yeah. Just actually, we are in the phase to get starting meetings with the community and to see their pinpoint and to kind of to introduce ourselves to the local community. So we want to know more about the steps, like how we get the trust. You said I think it's really important for that. So
yeah, definitely. So at least it's good to be like upfront about everything. What are you doing? What are the goals? What is the outcome of this? If people give you knowledge or information, how is it going to be used? And do people consent in giving you this information to use? And for example, with us, like we've been doing this in a way simultaneous notes of our interviews, and we have been like publishing those on our website and social media. And with those, we always run it by the interviewee. But even in these smaller conversations, it's good to be upfront of like, is going to be of academic purpose, or is it going to be a real project that changes their neighborhood? And then they might be actually more willing to help you if it's not just a research like study, but it actually makes a difference in their environment. And then just staying in the neighborhood, just being there, observing. That can be even as important or even more important than talking to or interviewing someone, just seeing the day-to-day and what happens. And through those everyday encounters, you meet people. And like we said before, is organizations find out who are the actors, do this actor mapping of who works in the area and who are the key stakeholders, who are the people working there, and then get to know them and introduce yourself. And just take your time in building trust and see people regularly, and maybe keep an open line of communication, that you don't pop in there and then disappear, but people can stay in touch with you. And yeah, like Ella said, just be genuinely interested in what people have to say and what they're going through, and not just in what's useful for you, but kind of we've found that in these workshops, no matter the post-its that we get, just discussing with people, it's important in and of itself.
Yeah, exactly. And I would also highlight like transparency. Transparency, there can never be enough transparency in the actions when urban development is in question. And people, even here in Helsinki, in Finland, where there is it's somewhat transparent process, but we have been increasingly hearing the local communities talking about being excluded from the process, and how this is it's a very frustrating experience to be in without the knowledge of what is going to happen in the future, and what kind of deals are being made of land use in their local in their area, like a local neighborhood. So this is something that can only be beneficial for both the locals and for the ones who are for the designers or architects. And also just one like kind of lighter final comment on this is that we are very happy to have made very nice new connections and friends in the neighborhoods. In the neighborhoods that we have worked at, and it's from different age groups, and it's very valuable actually to have this like a real human connection to the people.
Yeah, this is really helpful. Thank you so much.
Yeah, thanks.
Thank you very much, and Matti, thank you, and it's very helpful, of course, and we learned a lot. And you can, I mean, students, you can connect with them. Can you show the website page that contact info?
Yes. Hold on just a second. And so definitely go to our website. I'll put it in the chat. And you can also reach us by email and follow us on Instagram. Like I said, we've been doing these, publishing these kind of log books of our work and the residency project. So you can find these short little texts about everything that we have been working on Instagram and also on our website. So this is how it looks. It's about us and about our projects, what we've been working on, explain about the residency, and here you can find all the logbooks. So from Helsinki's side, kind of working with this neighborhood, and these are from New York, and we'll be listing here kind of this documentation of people who we interviewed during our time, and then you can here find kind of on the bottom of the page our contact info.
Great, thank you very much, fantastic. So that's it. Anything to add, or everybody's okay? All right, thank you very much. So see you next time then. Thank you.
Thank you very much.